Welcome along, and this is this week's podcast. So this is part two, all about what makes a great lead. There may be a part three, you never know. We'll see how it gets on, okay? First of all, I'm going to carry on with some of the questions that we had left over from last month's podcast, sent in by a number of people. So I'll crack on with those to start with, okay? So this is the question. Watching a number of advanced dancers, like the wonderful Pete and Alice, they often do steps, stroke moves, side to side across the slot. Is this a variation on Sirocco or just advanced moves? You can do anything, if I'm perfectly honest with you. You can kind of go up and down the slot, staying perfectly in our center lane or slow center and fast lane. It's entirely up to yourselves. Or you can then move that slot away from the side. So if I first time I'm getting up already. Okay, so if, as I'm standing, okay, if I'm doing normal dancing and I'm going forwards and backwards in the slot, sometimes I will move across the slot and then come away from that slot, but I'll still be on a slot of sorts. I won't be going round and round and round. What I'll be doing is I'll be moving that slot into a different motorway junction effectively. So you kind of moved on Spaghetti Junction, if that helps at all. So there's nothing wrong with it, it's just a different way of doing it, okay? The follow-up question to that is, with the above type of move, where does the lead come from? Arms, hands, or body? This leads us on to body leads later on. But generally, what you're looking to do is, from a lady's perspective, they're looking mainly men at your men's chest. Okay, obviously men don't look at the ladies' chests. And then what we're looking for is that as the ladies are moving with your chest, they'll move in whichever direction you should go into. So that's kind of the basic principle behind it. Okay, so we're moving our bodies from one way to the other, and that's what moves our partner. Just think about when you're doing 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't stand there going 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're moving our bodies going 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then you can step away and carry on from there. So yeah, lovely question, but you can do anything you like. It's the basic principle. Next question then is, if you are asked directly, what am I doing wrong, and it's obvious, is it okay to say so? If you do feel like you do know the answer, then yes, by all means. If it's something simple, like the follower stepped back on her left foot and therefore her tension's not quite right, or she did something that was very, very obviously not quite what you or she was planning, then by all means say it. But there are lots of people that do try and give advice that they believe is correct that actually might not quite be so correct. So if you are in doubt and you're thinking to yourself, I think this is the right answer, of course, as always, the default position, come and see the teacher on the night and they will hopefully have the answer for you. So yeah, nice question. Right, next one. If you are conscious of being out of time, stroke lost connection, forgotten any moves, and this persists all evening, what can you do to reset? Okay, so the basic principle there is you're dancing away, and for whatever reason, as a lead, you just can't think of anything to do, and you're kind of doing the same 3 or 4 moves again. The best tip I've got for you there is to do, I call them signal moves, but of course in Sirocco these days we don't have any signal moves as such. But if I give you a couple of examples. So an example, a basic obvious example for doing a signal type move is doing a neck break, okay, where you place a hand up there, okay? Or you could do something called a secret move where you place a hand across here. If you really need to, you could start with a pretzel. But kind of doing a signal move will then make you go into a different set of moves again. So that is always one particular option. Another thing that I know lots of people do is they simply have a dance out, have a watch of what other people are doing, okay? And then just try and reset in that way. And the last thing that I would always say is listen to the music. Allow the music to tell you what to do, and then hopefully that will again help you do a number of other different things. Okay, so there's that one. Right, what is the best thing to practice to improve your lead? Listen to the music, move your body. 2 basic principles for you. There we go. Any tips on how to ask for feedback after a dance without seeming like you want a compliment? Yeah, that's a good one, this. I've had this a few times where people say, oh, what do you think of my dancing then? And generally they ask that at the very end of the dance, and of course we'll then have another dance as we go through stuff. Those that know me know that I don't give compliments very easily or very quickly. So yeah, if you do get a compliment from me, then please do take it as read. I don't give compliments very easily, as I say. But yeah, if you are looking for genuine feedback, okay, then be prepared to take it on the chin. Whatever anybody says to you, try and make sure that you accept it and you go, okay, rather than if somebody does give you feedback and then you go, yeah, but I did this because of X, Y, and Z. that's not going to be very helpful. They're not going to give you feedback much after that as well, okay? But choose the people that you get feedback from. Okay, so whoever you get feedback from, make sure they're people that you respect as dancers and of people, of course, if you possibly can. How do you judge what the follow/woman wants from the dance? It's a good question. I like that question a lot. So how do you know what your partner wants from the dance? Well, you will have danced with most people at least once, I'm guessing, at some point. Generally, what I want as a follow is I want to be led very gently, but positively. And I want to make sure that I have some space to put my part into the dance. So if I'm having to do double-handed moves the entire time as a follow, I find that quite dull, because literally all I'm doing is dancing the man's dance. And that could be great, but it might not be that interesting, okay? At the same time, I know lots of men, they kind of go for the default. I'll show you this again. They'll do a high first. They'll twist their partner out to the side and say to the ladies, right, off you go, please do a slow walk and make this dance look amazing. And they'll do that 3 or 4 times in the dance, and the ladies standing there going, there's only so many times I can do a step tap or a crossover walk, okay? So yeah, don't do that too much. But generally, again, what the ladies want in dancing, or follows want in dancing, is as much as possible to dance their own dance and dance the music while following what your lead does. So that's the basic principle behind that, okay? Right, next one then for you. How exactly do I get good thigh contact connection without getting rude? Very good question again, okay? So this is generally when we're talking about doing something like pivots. For those that don't know pivots, squeaky chair, I'll sort that out next time. Okay, so for those that don't like don't know pivots, again, it comes normally from a high first or a first move, and you go around and then you're in particular frame, and you're coming around like this, and then you come out to the side. And generally what you're looking for is thigh-to-thigh connection. You need to get that thigh-to-thigh connection, otherwise it doesn't really work. What you are looking for is just make sure that as you sink down and going into it, then you are pushing that thigh forwards, okay? So therefore you are connecting with just above the knee is where you're looking to connect. Obviously, if you try and get much closer and don't portray your thigh forwards, then obviously it could be something else that's portraying into the ladies, which they don't really want to know about. So we've got to make sure that as we go into this move, we've got our right leg forwards. That creates an angle. If you both have that angle, then we keep the distance in the center area. Hope you've got that part. Right, next one for you then. How do you signal to your follow you want to stop, as in a break, for her to style it out? We have lots of exclamation marks or commas today, okay? How do you explain that, okay? Quite simply, ideally your follow is following the music, okay? Because if the music stops, basic principle, we've done this before, is if the music stops, musical statues time, okay? That's the level 1 of doing that. So as you come round, you would freeze, and then you would make your partner stop. But how do you make your partner stop? What I personally do, I do tense up the arm that I'm trying to stop my partner with, and I will physically freeze myself, okay? So again, if I'm talking about normal slotted dancing, if I'm in this position here, my partner can't get past me. I've got my shoulders, what we call the 9-to-3 position, to square across the slot. If I've opened my body out, then my partner is expecting to come past me. So therefore, if I do a freeze and I'm in that position there, she knows she can't get past. If she's tuned into the music as well, then hopefully she will then style it out. But it's entirely up to herself, or himself if he's doing the follow part. Okay, you give them the invitation to do the actual move and to style it out. If they do it, that's amazing. If they don't, that's entirely down to themselves, okay? Remember, ladies, you are responsible for your part of the dancing. Men, you're responsible for your part of the dancing. And the last question before we move on to other bits and pieces for what makes a great lead, okay? And that is, what is the best strategy to counteract a follow who anticipates and does a different move to yours, or just does her own moves? Yay, I love this question, okay? So yeah, I have, apologies for the phrasing that's coming up here. I have 2 types of dancers that I generally dance with, okay? Most dancers, and I say most, literally 90-95% of the dancers, are what I call waiters, okay? Now, when I talk about waiters, I'm not talking about, obviously, in a shop or in a restaurant. That's not the type of waiters. I'm talking about the ladies that follow, get their weight backwards and wait for the man to lead. We talk about it as one of our basic fundamentals. So they're waiting for you to lead them forwards, okay? And therefore we gain the stretch, and everything like that works very, very well. We then have what I term the runners. Okay, so as they're stepping back, they're already coming towards you, okay, which then makes it very, very difficult, because what happens is rather than having this stretch, all of a sudden you lose the tension and it's very difficult to lead your partner, and they then start running the dance effectively themselves. Have a simple philosophy. As always, come see the teacher, hope that, and pass the message on, and hope that the teacher, because all teachers will have a teacher-student relationship with their dancers, so they can give that feedback relatively straightforward. Don't dance with them. That's another option, of course. Okay, not a nice one, but it is an option. But no, generally, if you are trying to get your partner to wait with their weight over their back foot, then just try even more, okay? So really hold back. So as you're doing a return, for instance, hold the position and make sure they're waiting, and just make sure that you are giving it a go as much as possible. But yeah, as always, kind of the default is see a teacher, see if they can help. Hope that helps at all. Right, so this is part 2 on what makes a great lead. Thank you for all the questions. I do appreciate those. We're going to be doing many more of these, and they're all available on YouTube, of course. This is the channel. Come and sign up or subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Right, so the next part on how to be a great lead is all about being prepared to lead. We talk about the follows, about being prepared to follow. Men or leaders, you need to be prepared to lead, okay? So I mentioned this kind of a minute ago, is that what we're looking for is that if I want my partner to change places with me, then I need to get out of the way. We've got our 3 slots, our center slot, we've got our fast slot, and a slow slot, as I'm looking at it anyway. Okay, so if I want my partner to pass me, then I will get out of the way, and therefore my partner is ready to go past me. What I don't do as I step back is stay in the center slot, and then as I lead, get out of the way, because that's not very clear indication to my partner about what I want them to do. So I always talk about being prepared to lead, okay? So if you want to do a right side pass for the ladies, get out to the left, and properly get out to the left. Don't just kind of go a little bit, okay? So make sure you're nice and clear, get right out of the way. If you want to do a left side pass, then again we get out to that right hand side, okay? So that's generally what we're looking to do. Now the next part about being a great lead is make up your mind and stick with it, okay? There's nothing worse from a follows perspective. If you've made up your mind, you're going to do a right side pass for the ladies, let's do a travelling return, for instance. You're doing that travelling return, and then at the very end you think, oh no, I'm going to do something different, because then the lead doesn't quite work quite properly, okay? So whatever you decide you're going to do, stick with it and stay in that particular move, okay? Yes, you'll need to amend things as you go along, but generally make up your mind and stick with that part, okay? Now, next part. This is a big part for me, okay? This is the 2 different ways that we lead as a leader, okay? We have 2 things. One's called momentum and one's called direction. What we're looking to give our partner is momentum. So again, if we think about it in a car, the momentum, pushing the foot down on the accelerator, the direction with the steering wheel. Okay, once we've got momentum, we have to then reduce the amount of tension we give for the direction. If there is no momentum, we have to increase the amount that we use with our direction, okay? So again, if I'm doing a travelling return, there's lots of ways of doing it, okay? But if I think of about a way that I know a number of people do it, is they'll take a step back, they may be out of the way, let's give them that credit, but then pretty much they'll keep their weight on their back foot, and they'll just yank the ladies forwards, move their arm, and then come across and step back, okay? And that's one way that lots of people do it. The ladies then have the moment where they're being pulled off balance and all of that type of stuff, and it's not very nice. The shoulders get hurt, etc., etc. So what we want to do is we want to initiate momentum with our partner. How do we do that? Again, no matter how much you work out, your body is always going to be much more effective than your arms are to lead, okay? So what we're looking for is to do a travelling return, for instance. I've got my weight away, we're using the elastic band stretch theory, okay? Is that as I step towards my partner, I'm going to move my partner. My partner has to come in. Like we're stretching the elastic band, when you let go, naturally they come into the middle. Okay, so when I step towards my partner, I have given her momentum to come forwards. Now, fundamental number 2, going from point A to point B in a straight line, that's what the ladies should be doing. We're not expecting them to stop halfway, so once we've given them that momentum, we expect them to keep going the other way. Okay, so now I need to put direction in, okay? So from this position here, as I step forwards, all I'm going to do is raise my hand straight up, and because the ladies have gone back on their right foot, their direction has to be in an anti-clockwise direction. They can't go any other position at all. So therefore it just needs to be a very light raising of the hand. The ladies naturally will turn anti-clockwise, and then I lower the hand and I can step away or step to the side. Either works. Okay, so on the momentum, we give our partners momentum and then we give direction. Sometimes it happens at the same time, just entirely depends on what type of move it is. Okay, so that's on our elastic band theory, where we give our partners momentum by moving our bodies towards them, and then we give direction by moving the hand whichever way it needs to go. Okay, generally up and down is the basic principle. We do have the other form of lead that we have. Let's go back to a neck break or a shoulder sway, for instance, okay, where you would wrap your partner into the side and then you would sway back with your partner. Now we're using what's called a shadow technique, okay, so as I'm going backwards, as I move my partner forwards, it's like I'm shadowing her and I'm her shadow as she's moving, okay, but I don't then, because I've given momentum by moving my whole body forwards, I don't then need to push the arm forwards as well. I've got that whole momentum going forwards, so again the direction just needs to be a raising of the hand, and then you can step away at the very end. So you're giving momentum with your body, and the direction should again therefore be very, very gentle. And of course the more momentum you give them, the easier it is to give that direction. Okay, so there's momentum and direction. All right, now other couple of bits and pieces for you. Okay, posture, very important. I'm going to cover posture in a whole separate podcast for you. Okay, but posture generally we want to be doing is standing upright and giving our partner attention. As I say, I'll give you much more details in a separate podcast for that. Okay. Mentioned it earlier, don't be afraid to get feedback. However, make sure you choose who to get feedback from. So that's always very key. Demos, taxi dancers, teachers, they're all very, very happy to give feedback. Desperate to do it sometimes, and sometimes we don't. Okay, so do get the feedback as much as you can. Okay. Now, last bit on this is listen to the music. As a lead, what you will do is your general principle will be is that you will start off on your journey of dance, la la la, okay, and you will go learning moves. Okay, that's generally where you'll start off. What you'll then start to do is think, oh, there's music there as well. I now want to adapt what I'm doing to the music, and you'll go back to simpler moves because you're listening to the music, and then you'll start to apply more complex moves to more complex music. That's generally the journey that most people go on. Okay, but the main thing is that the more you allow the music to tell you what to do, once you've got your kind of bank of moves, most men have 50 to 60 moves, there or thereabouts. Okay, once you've got that bank of moves and allowing the music to tell you what to do, that's when you will become a great lead. Because what all ladies want, going back to a question from earlier on, is they want to feel like they are dancing to the music. They don't want to feel like they're dancing to numbers and doing whatever move you've got next in your set repertoire of moves. They want to know and feel the music that is being done. Okay, so that's our basic principle. Listen to the music, and allow the music, once you've understood it, to tell you what to do. Okay, so that's it. What makes a great lead? There's going to be many more podcasts like this. Please do sign up to my YouTube channel. It's Richard Beauvoisin. Doesn't cost anything. You simply get updates when I do these videos from now on. Hope to see you next time. Thank you very much.